Maya Chen's fingers traced the worn edges of her maintenance badge as she walked through the gleaming halls of the Interstellar Academy of Sciences. The holographic identification flickered slightly, a minor imperfection she deliberately never fixed. Like everything else about her outward appearance, it was carefully crafted to be unremarkable. The Academy's central atrium soared hundreds of meters overhead, its transparent quantum glass dome revealing the swirling purple storms of Nexus Prime's upper atmosphere. Below, beings from across the galaxy hurried about their important business, professors with multiple limbs gesturing as they debated theoretical physics, students of various species hunched over holotablets, and cleaning drones that Maya had reprogrammed to avoid disturbing anyone's work. She adjusted her plain gray coveralls and kept her eyes down as a group of Meridian scholars passed by, their crystalline bodies chiming softly. They didn't spare her a glance. Nobody did. Maya was just another human maintenance worker, part of the support staff that kept the most prestigious scientific institution in the galaxy running smoothly. None of them knew that she could spot 3 fundamental errors in the quantum equations floating above their study group. Or that she'd already mentally solved the proof one of them had been struggling with for weeks. Maya had learned long ago that her gift was as much a curse as a blessing. An IQ of 375 made her an anomaly, a subject of study rather than a person. She'd seen what happened to others like her, turned into research subjects or weapons of war. So she hid in plain sight, finding peace in the simple work of maintaining the Academy's systems. The regular patterns of maintenance schedules and repair logs were soothing. She could let her mind roam free while her hands stayed busy with practical tasks. But today something was wrong. Maya felt it in the subtle vibration of the floor beneath her feet, saw it in the almost imperceptible flicker of the quantum glass dome overhead. Others might dismiss these as minor glitches, but her mind automatically assembled the patterns into a troubling conclusion. She made her way to a maintenance terminal, careful to maintain her usual unhurried pace. A quick scan confirmed her suspicions: the Academy's containment field was experiencing microscopic fluctuations. The field was essential, protecting the facility from the harsh conditions of Nexus Prime's atmosphere. Even tiny instabilities could cascade into catastrophic failure. Maya's fingers hovered over the terminal's interface as her mind raced through the implications. The standard diagnostic programs weren't detecting anything wrong yet. By the time they did, it might be too late. She could see the mathematical pattern emerging, a complex quantum resonance that would gradually tear the containment field apart. The sound of voices approaching made her quickly close the terminal. A group of the Academy's most renowned physicists rounded the corner, deep in discussion. Professor ZX Till, a centaurian with iridescent feathers, was gesturing with multiple appendages as they debated. The quantum harmonic readings are well within normal parameters, one insisted. But the tertiary backup systems are showing anomalous power draws, another countered. Maya kept her head down as they passed, though her enhanced hearing caught every word. They sensed something was wrong but weren't seeing the complete picture. Their specialized knowledge actually prevented them from recognizing the pattern that was so clear to her unique mind. She had a choice to make. She could try to anonymously alert them to the danger, but they might not understand or believe the warning. Or she could continue hiding, protecting her secret while hoping they figured it out in time. The containment field fluctuated again, so subtly that only she noticed. Maya's hand tightened on her tools as she made her decision. She would find another way to help, working behind the scenes as she always had. There had to be a solution that didn't require exposing herself. As she walked toward the maintenance shaft that would give her access to the field generator's subsystems, Maya's mind was already racing through possibilities. She would need to be careful, methodical, and above all, unremarkable. Just another maintenance worker doing her job, even as she worked to save them all. The irony wasn't lost on her, that the Academy's salvation might lie not with its brilliant faculty but with a simple human cleaner who deliberately failed her entrance exams. But that was a truth that would have to remain hidden, like so many others. For now, she had work to do. The Academy's warning sirens began their low, pulsing wail as Maya worked inside the maintenance shaft. Her calculations had been correct, the containment field's degradation was accelerating. Through the narrow service window, she could see professors and students hurrying past, their earlier calm replaced by barely controlled panic. 3 days had passed since she'd first noticed the anomaly. She'd tried leaving subtle clues in maintenance reports and system logs, hoping the Academy's brilliant minds would piece together the puzzle. But they were looking in the wrong places, testing increasingly complex theories while missing the elegant simplicity of the actual problem. All non-essential personnel must evacuate to designated safety zones, the Academy's AI announced in multiple languages. Maya ignored it, continuing to reroute power through secondary systems. She'd bought them some time, but it wasn't enough. Above her, the quantum glass dome showed the first visible signs of stress, microscopic fractures appearing like spider webs across its surface. The purple storms of Nexus Prime seemed more violent than usual, as if sensing the barrier's weakness. The containment field is at 70% and falling, a voice echoed from the central chamber. Maya recognized it as Professor ZX Still. The harmonic resonance patterns make no sense. It's as if the quantum matrices are dancing. Could it be sabotage? Another voice suggested. The Raxan Confederation has always resented our technological superiority. Maya shook her head as she worked. They still didn't understand. The problem wasn't external at all, it was built into the very foundations of their containment technology. A fundamental flaw in the quantum equations that had remained dormant until now, like a time bomb waiting to detonate. Her enhanced mind could see it clearly, the way the field generators created subtle distortions in spacetime, distortions that had gradually synchronized over decades into a devastating resonance pattern. The solution required rewriting the basic principles of quantum containment theory, work that would earn someone a Galactic Science Prize, if she could reveal it. A violent shudder ran through the Academy's structure. Maya steadied herself against the shaft wall as alerts flashed across her maintenance tablet. 3 more field generators had failed. The system was approaching critical collapse. Evacuation is now mandatory, the AI announced, its tone more urgent. All personnel must proceed to emergency shuttles immediately. Maya heard the fear in the voices outside her maintenance shaft. The Academy housed research that could reshape the galaxy, or destroy it. If the containment field failed completely, it wouldn't just be the facility at risk. The resulting quantum cascade could tear a hole in reality itself. She closed her eyes, letting the numbers flow through her mind. Patterns emerged, crystallized, and connected. The solution was there, tantalizingly close. But implementing it would require direct access to the Academy's quantum mainframe, access that a maintenance worker would never be authorized to have. A shadow fell across her service window. Maya looked up to see one of the Meridian scholars hovering there, its crystalline form refracting emergency lights in complex patterns. "You must evacuate," it chimed in harmonics. "This section will be sealed in 3 minutes." Maya nodded, gathering her tools with deliberate slowness. "Just finishing some repairs," she said, keeping her voice steady and unremarkable. "Don't want the backup systems failing too." The Meridian hesitated. "The backup systems are irrelevant if the primary containment fails. The greatest minds in the galaxy cannot solve this crisis. We must accept defeat and save what lives we can." Those words struck Maya like a physical blow. The greatest minds in the galaxy were failing because they were trapped by their own preconceptions, by the very theories and principles they'd spent their lives mastering. Sometimes it took an outsider's perspective to see the obvious. As the Meridian drifted away, Maya made her decision. She'd spent 15 years hiding her gift, finding peace in anonymity. But she couldn't stand by and watch thousands die, watch priceless knowledge be destroyed, just to protect her secret. The maintenance shaft led to a junction near the quantum mainframe. The security there would be automated, no guards would remain at their posts with catastrophic failure imminent. She had 8 minutes before the containment field collapsed completely. Maya took a deep breath, letting her carefully crafted mask of mediocrity fall away. It was time to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest minds didn't always come with fancy titles or prestigious degrees. Sometimes they came with a maintenance badge and a mop. She began climbing toward the mainframe, her mind already racing through the calculations that would save them all, or expose her forever to the very scrutiny she'd spent her life avoiding. The Academy's sirens wailed louder, counting down the moments until she would be forced to choose between her safety and her conscience. The quantum mainframe chamber was bathed in pulsing red emergency lights when Maya arrived. Her maintenance credentials had gotten her through the automated security. The system was too busy managing the crisis to question her access level. The massive quantum processors hummed with barely contained energy, their crystalline matrices flickering with data streams that would overwhelm most organic minds. Maya's wasn't most minds. Her fingers flew across the nearest terminal, bypassing safety protocols with precisely calculated access codes. Each digit she entered was part of a larger mathematical pattern, one that would appear random to the security systems but contained hidden meaning. Years of watching, listening, and analyzing had taught her every weakness in the Academy's defenses. Containment field at 40%, the AI announced. Critical failure imminent. All remaining personnel must evacuate immediately. Through the chamber's observation window, Maya could see the quantum glass dome fracturing further. The purple storms of Nexus Prime pressed against the weakening barrier, their energy intensifying the field's collapse. She had perhaps 6 minutes before total failure. Her mind operated on multiple levels, one part maintaining her careful bypass of security systems, another running the impossibly complex calculations needed to rewrite the containment field's fundamental equations, while a third monitored the deteriorating conditions around her. It was like conducting 3 symphony orchestras simultaneously, each playing different pieces that had to harmonize perfectly. Unauthorized access detected in quantum mainframe chamber, the AI suddenly announced. Security protocols engaged. Maya didn't pause in her work. She'd expected this, had planned for it. Her fingers continued their dance across the interface while her mind reached out to the security subsystems. To anyone monitoring, it would appear that multiple maintenance subroutines were running standard emergency protocols. In reality, she was rewriting the core programming of the containment field. The chamber door slid open. Maya's enhanced hearing caught the sound of crystalline chiming, meridians. Probably the last evacuation sweep. Human maintenance worker, you must dash, the lead meridian began. I understand, Maya interrupted, not looking up from her work. Just need to stabilize this system. 30 seconds. She felt their uncertainty. Meridians were logical beings, they could see she was doing something to the mainframe, but her maintenance credentials appeared valid, and the crisis demanded immediate action. The precious moments of their hesitation were all she needed. The mathematical pattern finally crystallized in her mind, beautiful in its simplicity, elegant in its solution. The containment field wasn't failing because of external attack or internal malfunction. It was failing because its very foundation was flawed. The original designers had approached quantum containment as a barrier, when it should have been conceived as a dialogue. Maya's fingers moved faster, implementing the solution even as she refined it. The equations flowing through her mind would redefine the relationship between the field and the storm outside. Instead of fighting against Nexus Prime's natural forces, the new configuration would work with them, creating a sustainable harmony. 20% containment, the AI warned. Structural integrity compromised. The meridians had moved closer. Human, whatever you are attempting cannot dash. Maya pressed the final key sequence. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The sirens continued their wail, the emergency lights still pulsed, and the quantum processors hummed their ominous song. Then everything changed. The containment field flickered, not in failure but in transformation. The fractures in the quantum glass dome began to seal themselves as the new equations took hold. Above, the purple storms of Nexus Prime seemed to dance, their energy now working in concert with the field rather than against it. Containment field stabilizing, the AI announced, a note of confusion in its artificial voice. Unknown protocol implementing. Field strength, increasing. Maya stepped back from the terminal, allowing herself a small smile. The solution was elegant enough that it would appear obvious in hindsight, once the Academy's scientists understood it. She'd written the proof into the system logs, attributed to an anonymous maintenance subroutine. Let them think it was a lucky accident, a random combination of emergency protocols that somehow solved the crisis. She turned to leave, to disappear back into the anonymity of her maintenance duties. But the Meridians hadn't moved from the doorway. Their crystalline forms refracted the now stable emergency lights in complex patterns that Maya's enhanced mind couldn't help but interpret. They were communicating with each other in light patterns too subtle for normal human perception to detect. And they were talking about her. That, the lead meridian chimed slowly, was not standard maintenance work. Maya stood perfectly still, her mind racing through possible responses. The meridian's crystalline forms had arranged themselves in a pattern she recognized as one of deep analysis. Their light-based communication had shifted to frequencies that suggested intense curiosity rather than hostility. "Your neural patterns are extraordinary," the lead meridian observed, its harmonics shifting to match the emergency light's fading pulse. "We should have noticed before. The mathematical elegance of your solution, it bears markings of an intelligence far beyond standard human parameters." Through the observation window, Maya could see the quantum glass dome had completely stabilized. The purple storms of Nexus Prime now flowed around the containment field in beautiful, synchronized patterns. Her solution hadn't just prevented catastrophe, it had created something new, something better. "I'm just good with systems," Maya said quietly, maintaining her practiced tone of humility. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the hardest to see." "False modesty is illogical," another meridian chimed. "The quantum equations you implemented will revolutionize field theory. They show an understanding of universal harmonics that our greatest scholars have sought for centuries." The chamber's door slid open again. Professor ZX still burst in, his iridescent feathers ruffled with excitement. Behind him came a stream of other faculty members, the brilliant minds who had failed to solve the crisis now drawn to its mysterious resolution. "The containment field, it's not just stable, it's evolving," ZX still exclaimed. "The quantum matrices are arranging themselves into perfect harmonic resonance with the atmospheric storms. It's unprecedented. Who could have?" His voice trailed off as he noticed Maya, still in her gray maintenance coveralls, standing at the mainframe terminal. Maya felt the weight of their stares. She had spent so long hiding, making herself invisible, that being truly seen was almost physically painful. But there was also a strange sense of relief. The burden of pretense was lifting, even as new complications arose. "She is the one," the lead meridian announced. "This human maintenance worker implemented the solution. Her neural patterns suggest intellectual capabilities far exceeding known human limitations." Professor ZX Still's multiple eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Impossible. The mathematical complexity required to, unless." He moved to the terminal, his appendages dancing across the interface as he reviewed the logs. "These equations. This elegance. How did we not see it before?" "Because you weren't looking," Maya said, her voice stronger now. "You were all seeking a complex answer to match your complex theories. But the universe doesn't care about our theories. It operates on principles of harmony and balance. The containment field was fighting against natural forces when it should have been dancing with them." The room fell silent. Maya could see the moment of realization rippling through the assembled scholars, not just about the solution itself, but about their own preconceptions. They had overlooked someone they considered beneath their notice, and in doing so, had nearly paid the ultimate price. "Why hide such brilliance?" a young Centaurian scholar asked. You could have had any position in the academy, on any world. Maya looked around the room, at the beings who had passed her in hallways for years without a glance. Because I wanted to understand, not to be understood. To observe, to learn, to solve puzzles without becoming one. Every human with enhanced intelligence I've known has been turned into a research subject or a resource to be exploited. I chose a different path. Professor ZX still moved closer, his feathers shifting through colors that indicated deep thought. And now, your gift is revealed. Your theorem will reshape our understanding of quantum physics. You cannot simply return to anonymity. Can't I? Maya asked, a small smile playing at her lips. In an hour, the evacuation order will be lifted. In a day, classes will resume. In a week, this crisis will become another case study. The solution exists now, independent of its creator. Whether anyone believes it came from a human maintenance worker is irrelevant to its truth. The meridians chimed in harmonic disagreement. Your presence here changes everything. The Academy's very purpose is the advancement of knowledge, the breaking down of barriers between species and disciplines. How can we claim to serve that purpose if we allow such talent to remain hidden? Maya felt the crossroads before her. She could run, she had contingency plans, other identities, other places she could disappear to. But something had changed in her during those desperate minutes saving the Academy. Perhaps it was time for a different kind of hiding, not in shadows, but in plain sight. Perhaps, she said carefully, we could find a middle path. One that preserves my autonomy while allowing me to contribute in my own way. The scholars looked at each other, centuries of academic tradition colliding with the undeniable evidence of their own assumptions' limitations. In that moment of uncertainty, Maya saw the possibility of change, not just for herself, but for others who might follow. The containment field hummed peacefully overhead, its new harmonics a testament to what could happen when old barriers fell and new perspectives were embraced. The real test was only beginning. 3 months after the containment field crisis, Maya stood in her new laboratory at the Academy, watching purple storms dance through a perfectly stable quantum glass dome. The room was deliberately sparse, no advanced holographic interfaces or elaborate equipment. Just simple terminals, basic tools, and a maintenance cart in the corner that she'd insisted on keeping. Your latest paper on quantum harmonics has caused quite a stir, Professor ZX still said, entering the lab with his characteristic rustle of iridescent feathers. The Centaurian Science Council is particularly interested in your theory about applying containment field principles to planetary weather control. Maya nodded, continuing to watch the storms. They're welcome to build on the work. That's why I published it under the maintenance protocols rather than my name. The arrangement she'd reached with the Academy was unique. She maintained her official position as part of the maintenance staff, spending part of each day on the simple, grounding work she'd grown to love. But she also had this lab, where she could pursue her own research without the pressures of academic politics or public attention. The Meridians still wish you would accept a formal professorship, ZX still mentioned, settling onto a perch. They argue that your method of publication through maintenance logs and system updates is unconventional. Unconventional solutions often come from unconventional places, Maya replied with a slight smile. Besides, my way ensures the ideas are judged purely on their merit, not their source. The past 3 months had brought significant changes to the Academy. Maya's revelation had sparked a broader examination of hidden potential throughout the institution. The rigid hierarchies between academic staff and support personnel had begun to blur. Study groups now included maintenance workers alongside professors, each bringing their unique perspectives to problem solving. We've identified 3 other humans with enhanced intelligence working in support roles across different institutions, ZX still said carefully. They reached out after hearing about your arrangement. Maya turned from the window. Are they safe? Yes. The Academy's Council has approved my proposal for a new research methodology. We're calling it the Chen Protocol, though I suspect you'll disapprove of the name. It emphasizes voluntary collaboration and absolute autonomy for enhanced individuals. No mandatory testing, no institutional control. A maintenance drone hummed past the window, its patterns modified by the new programming Maya had designed. Like her solution to the containment field, it worked with natural behaviors rather than trying to control them. There's a bigger picture here, Maya said, moving to her terminal. Human enhancement isn't just about intelligence. It's about perspective. Each of us who's chosen to work in support roles, to observe rather than showcase our abilities, we've developed different ways of seeing problems. The Academy needs that diversity of thought. ZX Still's feathers shifted to a deep blue of consideration. The old barriers between mental and manual labor, between academic and practical knowledge. They're as artificial as the old containment field, Maya finished. Fighting against natural patterns instead of working with them. A group of students passed by her lab, a mix of species and ranks that would have been unusual 3 months ago. Among them was a young human in maintenance coveralls, engaged in animated discussion about quantum theory with a Meridian scholar. Change is coming, ZX Still observed. Perhaps faster than some would like. Maya smiled, remembering her years of hiding, of watching brilliant minds trapped by their own assumptions. Change was always inevitable. We just needed to find the right harmonic resonance. She turned back to her work, picking up a cleaning tool with one hand while entering complex equations with the other. Above, the purple storms of Nexus Prime continued their eternal dance, now in perfect harmony with the barriers that had once fought against them. The Academy was learning what Maya had known all along, that true intelligence wasn't about degrees or titles or species. It was about seeing the patterns that others missed, about finding elegance in simplicity, and about having the wisdom to know when to step forward and when to stay in the background. As she worked, Maya thought about the other enhanced humans who would no longer need to hide completely, who could find their own balance between visibility and privacy. The Academy would never be the same. And perhaps that had been the most elegant solution of all, not just saving the institution, but transforming it into something better. Through her lab window, she could see the place where she had first noticed the containment field's flaw. The spot where a simple maintenance worker had seen what the galaxy's greatest minds had missed. It was a reminder that sometimes the most profound changes come not from grand theories or brilliant breakthroughs, but from quiet observers who understand that every problem, like every storm, has its own natural rhythm. All you had to do was learn to dance with it.